I don't know.
Okay, everybody, if we could have everybody take their seats. It is now 6 o'clock. All, please take your seats. All right. Get started. All right. We are going to call this meeting to order, and we will begin with a prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance. If you will all stand, and Councilman Stopper will lead us in prayer and the pledge.
All right, let's pray. Lord, we do thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for this city, Lord, a wonderful city to live in, wonderful city to work in. And Lord, just pray for each resident, Lord, that you would bless them in a special way, that you would reach down from heaven and just envelop each one of us in thy loving care. Lord, help us to always put others before ourselves and to be true servants of each other. And we pray right now that this meeting would be done decently and in order according to what your Bible commands. And we just pray for your will to be done. In Jesus' name and for his sake, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to take a roll call real quick. Mr. Schatzel.
Here.
Miss Alley.
Here.
Mr. Najumian.
Here via telecom.
Mr. Donahue.
Here.
And Mr. Stopper.
here.
Thank you. Dan, I think the first thing on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Yes, sir. Regular council meeting, March 12, 2024. Planning Commission, April 1, 2024. No local planning agency meetings.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion by the council? Mr. Najumi, any discussion?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Najumi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
Let's move down to the public hearings. And I believe we've got a presentation, right, Dan?
Yes, sir. Ms. Tammy McCoy, our auditor, and she's here right now.
Thank you. As Dan mentioned, my name is Tammy McCoy. I'm the audit partner for the city of Niceville. With me tonight, I have Sloan Perkins. Stand up. She has been involved in the audit the last couple of years and has done an amazing job. Who is not with me tonight is Joel Bradley. He is the in charge of this audit. He would like to have been here, but he had a conflict. So tonight what I want to do is just go over the results of the audit. I'm going to go over some financial metrics from you, comparing you to other municipalities. I'm going to go over some 10-year trend information and give you some input as far as the future outlook for the city of Niceville. Now, are you turning it? Okay, perfect. From an audit results standpoint, this year we issued an unmodified opinion on the city's financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance that you can receive on your financial statements. From audit findings, we did have one significant finding with respect to the city's internal controls, and that related to capital assets. That is a repeat finding. With the amount of activity and grants and everything that's going through the city, it's been difficult to reconcile that activity to the fixed assets program. The city does have a plan in place to modify that moving forward. We did also look at compliance with laws and regulations, and we found no instances of non-compliance with those, so great job. This year, we also had a change in accounting principle that we had to adopt, and it's called GASB 96. And essentially, it relates to IT software type contracts that now are required to be recorded as assets and liabilities in your financial statements. We worked with Chad quite a bit in IT, and there were 3 items this year that qualified under that standard. So from a metric standpoint, I thought this was very interesting information, and we did sit down with the city manager and the finance team to go over some of these financial metrics. We wanted to see, from the city of Niceville, how do you compare to your peers? And when we selected the peers, we looked at municipalities within the state of Florida that had populations between 15,000 and 26,000, with assessed values of property of $1.2 billion and $1.7 billion. So if they fell within that criteria, we put it on this little schedule to show a comparison. So I'm going to walk through a couple of these financial metrics and kind of give you some feedback on that. And following this, I will give you a 10-year trend to see what you've done over that 10-year period. So the first one is really the population and the assessed value of property. If we look at the city of Niceville and we look at you in comparison to your peers, you're pretty small in comparison to the population against those peers, but your property value is much higher. So the amount of value that you have, assessed value per person within the city of Niceville is $92,000, which when we look at the comparison of the other cities, it's a good number. So you have property assessed values, not only based on residential, but it's also commercial as well. How much does the city rely on property tax revenue? The city this year had 31% of your revenues are derived from property taxes. And when we look at you in comparison to the other cities, the one that stands out is Fort Walton Beach. So you're very similar to Fort Walton Beach from reliance on revenues from property taxes. What is your long-term debt per capita? Meaning how much debt does the city have per person within the city of Niceville. The metric here, the lower the better. You have $528 in debt for each person within the city. The next lowest city was the city of Sebastian, which was $5. So they really don't have any debt. Number of months in cash and operating, again, the higher the better in this specific case, and the city of Niceville has 9.1 months of cash and investments available. The next city that was close was Groveland, which was 8.2 months. From a governmental fund expenditure per capita, the lower the better. The city of Niceville this year had $1,311 of expenditures per person within the city. This year, that's higher because you've had some capital improvements and stuff like that to deal with. Unassigned fund balance, so this is monies that would be available for you to spend in the future that's not restricted, is 52.6% of your fund balance. So the higher the better there, and again, looking at your peers, you're at the top of the line from that perspective. Ratios, we have enterprise fund operating expenses. What is the operating profit of your enterprise funds? This year it was 0.2%. So your revenues and expenses are very similar and they're in line with each other. We'd like to see that number be higher, and we'll go over the trend and what you're going to do in the future. And then lastly, of course, is the operating cash flow margin. So from the city of Niceville, this information is provided to you just to kind of compare yourself against your peers. The next slide. And just,
Hey, Tammy?
yes.
Hey, this is Sal. This is great, this is very informative. It begs a couple questions. So when you look at our percentage of revenue that come from property taxes, you know, we're almost a third, 31, 32%. What are towns like Lynn Haven and Sebastian doing where only a fifth or a sixth of their operating costs are being covered by property taxes?
They may have some other taxes that are being covered, so it could be more of shared revenues. So, you know, they may not be focusing 100% on the property tax values, but they have other services. They may be charging their citizens for services that are being provided. Does
So you
that,
mean more of an enterprise type situation?
somewhat, yes.
Okay.
And we'll go over the city of Niceville and more in depth over the next few slides, which that might give you some more background relating at least to the city of Niceville.
Hey, so this is Dave. Me and some of my teammates are riding over to Lynn Haven tomorrow to have a conversation with the city manager. And this isn't the reason we're going over there, but it will be a topic of conversation because I do have the same question.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking to not raise millage, which I think we've done a nice job. It looks like we're, you know, right there second lowest. You know, one way to keep that in check is, you know, find other sources of revenue. So I appreciate you digging in that a little bit, Dave. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Will do.
And grants with, I'm sorry.
So Lynn Haven, they may be getting some of their services from Panama City because they sit right at the center of Panama City too. So that might be why it's lower.
Right, I mean, I haven't dug into the details specifically with Lynn Haven, but another funding source could be grants. So if they're not relying, you know, 100% on, you know, property taxes, you know, as a primary function of revenue, grants, I mean, there's all kinds of different types of services that can be relied upon.
Well, we were over in Lynn Haven a couple months ago, and of course they were hit by the hurricane not too long ago, and they were riding a wave of FEMA money and insurance money as well. So that, I don't know if that plays into this at all, but I know they built their fancy new building with FEMA dollars and insurance money.
Correct. So if you go to, like I said, the next couple of slides is really just for your information later. It describes the different ratios that I was talking about and what the importance of those ratios, what they're trying to tell you, you know, as a metric. So the next slide here, the 10-year historical trend. And looking at the historical trend, we have graphs that follow, and I think the graphs will tell a good picture. So if we want to move to the next graph. So the assessed value of property taxes for the city of Niceville over the 10-year period, and we go back to 2014 and carrying it forward to now. Back then, your population was like 13,700, and now your population is 16,400. So your property values have increased significantly as well. You had $814 million in property tax assessed values at that time in 14, and now you're at 1.5 billion. So the more you know assessed value, the more the property values are, and you know that's helping with the amount of assessed value per person. So that trend, the enterprise fund operating profit. If you look, you know, in the 2014 through the 2018 period, it was much higher than what it has been showing in the last 5 years or so. If you remember, several years ago, the city, all municipalities were required to implement the pension standards, and so pension expense is a component that you now are required to capture in your books. and that pension expense will fluctuate based on what the actuarial is telling you that your expense is. And if we look at the year 2021, that pension expense was very small. And so that makes your operating profit for the enterprise fund higher. But again, you have no control over that. You participate in the Florida retirement system. You share in that liability, based on your participation. You have no control over that. But we do have to recognize when there is a change in assumption and the pension expense changes year to year, then we have to capture that change within your financial statements. Last year, 2021 year, the pension was very small. You had good market, market gains and stuff like that, which impacted your pension expense. So again, the years back, there was no pension per se. The years forward, there is. Okay, so then a long-term debt perspective, as you can see, the city has done a very good job in managing and trying to pay down debt. So over a period of time, there has been some refundings and restructure of debt to try and gain better interest rates. And so you can see the effect of that from 2014, a much higher per person debt down to a much lower now. What that does for you is it gives you some flexibility moving forward on how to use your resources. So if you want to issue more debt for some projects, you have the ability to do that. The next slide is the trend of cash and investments in the governmental funds. As you can see, there was a dip in 2019. And what we're seeing in this graph is the city has done a good job in identifying how to invest your idle resources, so your surplus funds. At one point, you were putting money in CDs. The interest rates for those were very, very low. The city has started to diversify, investing in U.S. securities, which have higher rates, and so you're seeing the effect of that.
And Tammy, that huge spike is due to ARPA funds, right?
That is correct. Okay. This next slide just shows the city, how are you spending your money? What function? And if we look at this graph, you can see the two areas that are really increasing over time is capital outlay. You're investing into your city. You're getting grants to do that, so that's good. Plus we have the ARPA money. And then the other section, what was it? Public safety. Again, public safety and capital outlay have been the two functions that have grown more significantly over the last several years. Okay. Governmental fund non-capital expenditures per capita, as you can see, and we're talking about more of your general fund, that type of thing. And if you look at your expenditures are increasing over time, and so it's something to watch, as you move forward. We have seen over the years where the city, from a budgetary standpoint, has used funds, cash carry forward, to help subsidize the budget. So at some point in time, we want to make sure that it doesn't continue to grow. And here's a reflection of your fund balances as of the end of the year. The red represents the restricted dollars, and the blue and the lighter shade of blue represents the amount of money that is available for the city to spend at your discretion. Okay. So looking forward, we did sit down with management and talked about, what are some good things that you're doing and what some things that you can, look forward to on improving. So again, investment earnings, we've already seen where you're getting more monies from an investment standpoint. So we just want, continue to encourage you to diversify in investments. And so your U.S. Treasury, as an example, debt restructuring, the refinancing that you've had over the last several years have helped reduce the amount of debt that you have in the city as a whole. So that's good. The property tax base, if if you, your property taxes are going up, the assessed values are going up, and any change, any small change within the millage rate would definitely impact the amount of revenue coming in. Or you could supplement some additional funding through ancillary type revenues, so the grant revenues and stuff like that. And again, talking to your peers. So Lynn Haven may be a great example of what you can do. And then from a budgetary standpoint of appropriations, again, one of the things that we are looking at is we're looking at your enterprise funds. There are a couple of those enterprise funds that the profit is getting smaller and smaller. You're subsidizing, the general fund type expenditures. So just making sure that you keep an eye on those enterprise funds. And I believe that is it. As far as the audit goes, I do want to thank, the city, the staff, the finance. We could not do this audit without the assistance of everyone, and it really does take a group effort to get your audit done. And congratulations, I think you've had a good audit this year, and we wanted to bring forward to you tonight some financial metrics that you haven't seen in the past, that we thought would be something, interesting and beneficial.
So with that, does anybody on the council have questions for Mr. Goy?
I do.
Go ahead.
So I want to say kudos first. I'm a CPA also, so I read all 134 pages, or I glanced at them. But did you write, is yours the beginning where it's all the history? I've got to tell you, that should be a separate, everybody needs to read that. How Niceville was named. We were, Valparaiso, New Valparaiso, switch. There's a couple things there I did not know.
Well, sir, let me caveat that. I signed that. The author is at the end of the table.
Stephen?
Sure, some of that has carried over through the years,
Right.
and I've certainly revised it over the years. And this
Well
year
done.
was a significant
Yeah.
revision, but
Well, well done. I was enthralled as I read it, which is, the numbers did not excite me as much, I know, but I do have one question on the numbers. You said that the capital asset management and tracking, the internal controls, so was a ding.
Correct.
What's the problem with the internal controls? Is it separation of duties, or is it tracking the assets?
It's tracking the assets. It's making sure that the subsidiary ledger captures everything that has run through the accounting system. So just making sure that that's all reconciled. Every time that we start the audit, we always start with where we ended the audit last year and roll forward. So any new assets, we need to make sure that that's all captured in your subsidiary ledger, so your fixed asset ledger. And there's been some downfalls in that process. So we've talked to management, and they have a plan in place, so we do not expect this to be a problem, in the past. And again, it's not a big issue, it's just something that has to happen, as we're reconciling and auditing your financials. If we don't fix it and correct it, then those will just continue to multiply over the period of years. And you want to make sure that you have a good tracking system of the assets that you do have.
Well, I know these guys, they don't want one ding, so it's coming next year. You're probably not going to have a write-up, so.
That's perfect, that's what we like to hear.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you. So Dan, are we at the proclamation?
Yes.
Well, let me come down there, I'm going to read this proclamation, and as I'm making my way down there, I would like for our folks from the Exchange Club to come join me. Angie and Adrian, come on up. I want everybody to see your faces because, you guys do so much that, I want us to recognize that we got people who live in our city, who work in our city, who do great things and care about people. And so with that, I'm going to read this proclamation. And so that you all know, this is a proclamation that has to do with national child abuse and prevention. Whereas children are our nation's most valuable members, as well as our nation's most valuable resources, helping to shape the future of Florida, and whereas positive childhood experiences like loving caregivers and safe, stable, and nurturing relationships can help mitigate trauma and the negative impact of adverse child experiences to promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas childhood trauma can have long-term psychological, emotional, physical effects throughout an individual's lifetime and impact future generations of the family, and whereas childhood trauma, including abuse and neglect, is a serious problem affecting every community in the United States, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas children who live in families with access to concrete economic and social supports are less likely to experience abuse and neglect, and whereas prevention is possible because of the partnerships created between families, prevention advocates, child welfare professionals, education, health, community and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and local, state, and national governments. And whereas we acknowledge that in order to solve the public health issue of abuse and neglect, we must work together to change hearts and mindsets through storytelling and sharing, center the needs of families, break down bias and barriers, and inspire action from expected and unexpected partners in prevention. And whereas we are committed to advancing equitable, responsive, and effective systems to ensure all children and families are healthy and thriving, and whereas we recognize the need to prioritize kids and invest in more prevention initiatives like home visiting and family strengthening policies, economic supports, and community-based child abuse prevention programs at the national, state, and local levels. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Daniel Hinkle, on behalf of the City Niceville Council, hereby do proclaim April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And I want you all to know that the City of Niceville urges all citizens to recognize this month by building a narrative of hope for children and families through collaboration and the creation of an ecosystem of primary prevention that does not currently exist in this county. And again, you all know that we hear many sad cases about child abuse, and we want to do our best to make sure that we take care of those kids and get the people the education they need and the help they need to prevent this terrible tragedy. So with that, I would like to present this to both Angie and to Adrian, who are part of that organization that likes to help and make things happen. And I thank you very much for that. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you...
Go ahead. You got the floor.
I wanted to let you know that as part of the, we're not just talking about the problem, we also plan to do something. We are starting a child abuse prevention center in this area that will serve Okaloosa and Walton County. And this program, pretty much what it does is follow the model that Jacksonville, Florida has done for 30 years, where they send parent aides into the home and try to prevent child abuse by working with parents that have shown that they're at risk. And the Department of Children and Families will identify these families, and the Jacksonville Center has managed to have a 99.7 success rate of preventing child abuse from ever happening in those homes. So we hope that we can bring that to these counties as well.
Can I say one more thing about the financial report? There was something I missed. The GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting has been issued to our city for 37 straight years, and I believe Mr. Doucette is a big reason for that. I know Wendy and Stephen and the others, but man, what an achievement. 37 years. They expect it to be 38 years this year with this audit. So congratulations. I saw that in the writing.
All right. Dan, let's move down to ordinance 240501.
Yeah, this ordinance is on first reading. The City of Niceville request for property located at 324 Johnson Parkway be rezoned from C2 general commercial to F1 outdoor recreation and have future land use of PR parks and recreation.
And with that said, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second? Do we have any anybody that needs to address this issue, Dan? Anybody in the audience? Amy.
So all four of these properties are properties considered part of Turkey Creek, and as part of the, three of them were used as collateral for our last FCT, Florida Communities Trust grant, that we were able to secure the Hardee's property. And the FCT requires us to change the zoning so that it is no longer what it was. So there's always been Parks and Recreation or Conservation.
Thank you, Amy. Any questions for Amy? Any discussion by the council? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? If so, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Doug Gilbert, 709 Bullet Creek Run, Niceville. That particular piece of property, as we know, is adjacent to the hotel that's there. I just want to ensure that now that it is being rezoned from a commercial piece of property to Parks and Recreation, that we are going to take action to remove the commercial aspect from it. There's a camper trailer currently parked there, several trailers, along with semi-trucks that are regularly parked there, which will now be a park area. If it was a commercial area, no big deal. Now it's a park area, we probably are obliged to do something about it.
Okay. Thank you. Would anybody else like to come before the council on this issue? All right. Any further discussion by the council? All right, let's start with Mr. Najumian. How do you vote?
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Let's move down to ordinance 240502.
This ordinance on first reading, consider not to request for a property along Turkey Creek to rezone from R3 multifamily residential to conservation and have a future land use of PR, Parks and Recreation.
And Amy, I'm assuming, again, as you said, these three ordinances are all the same thing? Four. Okay, sorry, four. So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion by the council. Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none, Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
That was close. Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
And Mr. Najumian?
Yes.
Let's move to ordinance 240503.
This ordinance in first reading, the city of Knoxville requests for a property located on Knoxville Avenue be rezoned from R2, one or multiple family, to S1, outdoor recreation, and have a future land use of PR, Parks and Recreation.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion by the council. Do I have anybody else who would like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none, Mr. Najumian?
Yes.
Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Let's move to ordinance 240504.
This ordinance on first reading, consider not to request for a property located on Monette Street be rezoned from R1, single family residential, to S1, outdoor recreation, and have a future land use of PR, Parks and Recreation.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion by the council? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Najumian?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Miss Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
I am going to move down to the resolutions. I am going to save resolution 240201 to our last resolution to be read. So, Dan, let's go to resolution 240401.
Yes, a resolution city council of the city of Knoxville, Florida, applying a goal to reduce traffic related to fatalities and serious injuries in the city, supporting the creation and implementation of the Safe Streets Knoxville Action Plan, providing for conflicts and severability, and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. Do we have any background information on this one that somebody's going to speak to?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and council, this is kind of a step that we need to take to apply for Safe Streets for All funding, which is a federal program that's coming down. The TPO is also going to be applying for Safe Streets funding, and this will position the city to fit into the TPO's plan there and hopefully position us for some good safety improvements on our streets with some funding.
Thank you. And before you walk away, does anybody on the council have any questions for? All right, thank you. Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none, Mr. Najumian.
Yes.
Mr. Schatzel.
Yes.
Ms. Alley.
Yes.
Mr. Donahue.
Yes.
And Mr. Stoffer.
Yes.
Let's move to resolution 240402.
A resolution granting a special exception land development code, table 7-1, schedule of permitted and special exception uses by zoning district to allow for Airbnb rental in the R1 zoning district at 728 Powell Drive, Knoxville, Florida. Provide for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Mayor, if I may, and council, I recommend that the council continue this issue until next month. We are doing some legal research into this issue, and I think we can work with the landowner to find a more efficient and a more legal way for the property owner to come before the council to make this request. In its current form, I'm not entirely sure this is a legal request, and so my recommendation to the council is that we continue this issue until next month.
Any discussion by the council on this? Okay. Then let's move this to continuation to next month and give you and your staff time to resolve these issues. Yeah, we do need a motion. So do we have a motion to continue this to next month?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. Further discussion? Any discussion by, any questions that want to come before the council from the audience? Seeing none, Mr. Najumian, how do you vote?
This is on the continuance?
That's correct.
Yeah, I vote yes.
Okay, Mr. Schatzel,
Yes.
Ms. Alley,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
and Mr. Stoffer. So we
Yes.
will continue this to next month, and again, giving the city manager and his staff time to resolve this one. Let's move to resolution 240403.
A resolution granting authorization for the city of Niceville to enter into a contract for the purchase of Carlos security system equipment for the purpose of upgrading and enhancing of the city's security system, improving the terms and conditions of the contract and financing of the equipment, approving the price and payment schedule, authorizing Mr. Chad Morris, purchasing director, to execute the contract, and authorizing the city manager to approve and attest the contract and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion by the council? Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Chad to come forward to talk about a little bit more if you want to hold.
Yeah,
the question.
I would like to hear more on this from
All right.
Cal.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a project we've been working on for about a year and a half, 2 years now. Jesse and Armando have been working quite a bit on it. We did not initially feel like we were going to be bringing it to the council because the funding is going to be in the budget, so you'll be approving it in the budget process. But the company, KS State Bank, needed a resolution from the council agreeing to basically that you're going to put it in the budget in the future. We currently spend about $45,000 a year on security system upgrades and updates and things like that. We have an aging set of cameras, and the intrusion alarms, our control panels for the access control are no longer made, so when lightning strikes, takes one of those out, we have to replace it. We're having to bring up a new software system run those new control panels. Basically, we've calculated that in the future, we're gonna be spending $65,000 to $75,000 a year on maintaining what we currently have. Older technology, some of the cameras we've got are 10 and 15 years old. Some of the intrusion alarm and some of the access control is getting close to that. I don't think they're quite that. They're about 10 years old now for the access control. But with this system, this is replacing basically all of those things that I have just named off. All of our cameras that we currently have in place, all of our access control systems, and our intrusion alarm systems. And it is financed over 5 years with the first payment starting after the 1st of October. So it will be able to be budgeted in the budget system. And that's basically what the system is. Any of you got any questions?
Mr. Shassel?
Yes. How is it that we are using Kansas City State Bank?
That was the bank that Verkada uses for their financing, and we're using their system. That's the one that they use. We check prices. We actually checked with Dell Financial, which we have done a lot of business with our computer stuff. They came back and gave us a price that was almost a full percentage point higher as far as the finance rates and things. So we went with their finance company that they did. We're actually purchasing the system from the Verkada themselves.
So it's nothing that we would put out on a purchase order?
We're piggybacking on Cocoa Beach, Florida, as far as the purchase, the pricing and everything is on a pre-bid contract.
Any other questions by council? Go ahead, Mr. Stockman.
So I think I computed it's like 7.5% or something like that.
7.75.
Yeah, I just rounded, so, looks like 100 items, and then you're saying it's replacing everything, so we're not having to do any monitors, anything like that. It's gonna be where they're being monitored now?
Correct. It's actually the software package that's included with this allows us to have some additional capabilities of monitoring and things like that. 'Cause it will be, it's not a out on the internet type system, but it is a cloud-based system. So there's security login, things like that. Obviously, we don't want anybody being able to get in just because they've got internet connectivity, but with the proper credentials and all, we will be able to set up to where there are additional monitoring stations for additional things, which is an improvement over what we currently have, because we currently have some systems that we have to actually go out and pull digital data off of the recorder in order to be able to view it. So if there's an incident in that location, we have a request from the police department for video, we have to send somebody out. I'll send Armando out, or Jesse will go out and actually pull that data off, where we won't have to do that in the future.
And council, what I would add is, this is one integrated system. Right now, we're operating a hodgepodge of systems for our access control, our cameras, other pieces of this. It's all a hodgepodge of different pieces and parts. This is one integrated system that works together. And so when someone would badge into the building, the camera takes your picture. And so it's a significant upgrade to the multiple systems we're operating right now.
And our estimate is it's not going to cost us any more than what maintaining our current systems is going to cost over the next 5 years.
Any other questions by council? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Seeing none. Mr. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Shassel?
Yes.
Mr. Najumian?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go back to Resolution 240201.
The resolution to vacate the east half of Pine Avenue right-of-way between 4006 13th Street and 4010 15th Street, Concord, Florida, requested by Parish Joint Trust.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Council, if I may again, this
Yep.
is a resolution that I do recommend that you continue until next month. We have been doing a lot of, Chris and I have been doing a lot of legal research on this issue, and we have come to the conclusion that this property, both the piece that the council has granted to the other property owner and the one that Mr. Pear seeks, does not belong to the city. It's county property. And so we are working with the county. I reached out to the county and I talked to the deputy county administrator over there and the public works director over there today. And they are going to push a resolution through the county commissioners to convey the entire piece of property to the city, and then at that point we can act on it as you see fit. So my recommendation is that we continue this for 1 month and allow the county to do that, to pass that resolution, and then we can proceed from there.
Mr. Powell, do you have something you want to add?
Just add that when we vacated the west half, we had an email from the county that they did not accept jurisdiction of the property, and even though it showed that they owned the property, they were refusing to take any action to accept jurisdiction. That email's in writing from them, from the county, and so that's why we went and vacated the west half. So if they want to either stand on that written relinquishment, or either they need to transfer it to the city.
And again, council, my recommendation is we allow the council to pass this resolution to convey that property to us, because in the future, should a savvy, if one of these property owners wants to sell the property, and during title search, you had a savvy title search agent who finds that that property was vacated and given to the property owner, and we had no right to vacate it, that could cause problems for the property owners in the future. So this is just a mechanism to protect our residents, because both of these residents, although 13th Street is a county street, both of these residents are in the city. And so in order to protect these residents and any future residents, I recommend, again, that we continue this until next month, until such time as the county's had the opportunity to pass a resolution to convey that property to the city.
Mr. Stoffer?
So I noticed in the planning commission, you did question not selling it. Is that any problem at this point, or you think it's okay to vacate it?
Well, there's nothing to sell because it's not a property, sir. Again, my question from the get-go was, who owns this property? Because if I have a right-of-way on a piece of property, that means I typically don't own the property. But in this case, we have confirmed that it is county property, and so there is nothing for the city to give away or sell at this point in time.
So do I have, did you have something you were going to say, Mr. Powell? You grabbed that mic and made me alarm here.
I think we're okay.
Okay. So do I have a motion to continue this resolution, 240201, to next month, again, giving the county commission time to review and pass a resolution before we take any action?
I'll make that motion as our city manager, Mr. Dykes, requested, and I would also ask you in this, is 30 days sufficient, or should we look at 60 days to bring it back? Because your staff has to still review it.
I think 30 days will be sufficient. If we have to come back in May and ask for another continuance, we can certainly do that. But I think that this is a fairly easy task for the county, so I think we can get it done in 30 days.
So I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, discussion by the council.
Yeah, I have one more question. So this is the right-of-way for Mr. Parrish, or what he is requesting to him. So what about Ms. Davis, when she requested that in November or December?
Sir, after the council took action on Angela Davis's half of the property, that deed, that action was recorded, and so it is currently recorded on the county property appraiser's website as her property is including that 25 feet. And so once the county vacates it to us on her side, we're good to go. Then Mr. Parrish, we can do the same thing. The council can do the same thing for Mr. Parrish for the other half of the right-of-way. Once that deed's recorded, then we're good on both sides.
Any other questions by council? Mr. Stopper, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
And Mr. Najumian?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll continue that resolution to next month. That brings us to the manager reports, requests, and recommendations.
And council, before I get to that, I would ask for a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between Okaloosa County and us to contract with Okaloosa County to install the reclaimed water pipeline out to Deer Moss Creek.
All right, so council, I'm asking if there's anybody would like a motion to basically contract with the county for them to install the piping that we're going to use for reclaimed water going out to Deer Moss Creek.
So moved. Oh, go ahead.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
And second. Discussion by the council.
And this is an interlocal agreement, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Would anybody in the audience like to come before the council on this issue? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Christopher Saul, 1405 Clear Sage Lane. Do y'all have an end date in mind?
I do not.
Go ahead.
And then I got calls on the $1 that's on the water bill, so I just wanted to clarify that, reclaim water.
Can we, let's hold on that for just a second. Let's make sure we clear this up, and then we'll take a vote, and then you can make your statement. How's that?
Good.
Any other discussion? All right. Mr. Najumian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Schatzel?
Yes.
Ms. Alley?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
And Mr. Stopper?
Yes.
With that said, Mr. Stopper, do you have a comment you'd like to make?
Well, I just got attacked by a couple of people that want to know why they had $1 off of reclaimed water on their water bill, so I checked on it, and the staff informed me that everybody has the $1 for what we call in the hotel industry common area maintenance. So it's the medians, the parks, for reclaimed water. So the $1 is on there, not for you to cover a shortfall in Swift Creek or someplace like that. It is for those common area maintenance areas. So just to put that in the record, I know, I had people asking me, so I had to find out.
Thank you. All right. City Manager.
Thank
you're
you.
up.
So we had a very, very busy March as always. We had a very successful Easter egg hunt and a health fair at the senior center. Both were smashing successes. Just as a reminder to the council and mayor, the annual city picnic is on 18 April 11. For the community, we are our public information officer, Shanita Francis, and all the other teammates across the city have put together a big truck day. On 20 April, it starts at 11, and it's back here in the parking lot by the senior center and the softball fields. We're going to have fire trucks and police cars and EOD robots and all sorts of stuff. So please come on out and see what all the toys we have. We're going to have garbage trucks and excavators and all sorts of stuff. I might even let Miss Sally drive the excavator again. So bring the kiddos out, big kids and little kids if you need. And come out and join us on 20 April in the morning. The first hour of that event is going to be no lights and sirens, so that sensory kids that are impacted by sensory overload. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's not the right term, but it's not coming to me right now. We'll be able to climb up in the fire truck without being in fear from the lights and the sirens. The next coffee and conversation with the mayor and I are scheduled for April 26th at 7:30. Right behind you here in the city council chambers. The job announcement for the new police chief is out on the street. Applications must be received by the 3rd of May. So if you know anybody who's interested in being a police chief, please ensure you let them know. They're already gone, but thanks to Warren Averett and our team for all the hard work with the annual appraisal. And just a quick update on the reclaimed water pipeline, in addition to the local agreement that was just approved. I talked to Eglin today. I anticipate receiving the easement in 2 weeks. But that's for our review and signature, and then it goes through the Air Force and DOD bureaucracy. So it'll probably be another 60 days at least after that before we get the final easement. But it's within arm's reach now. Along with that easement, Eglin is working the dig permit at the same time, so I anticipate in the next 2 to 3 months we will have both the easement and the dig permit so we can rock and roll. And then finally, because we are moving along rapidly on this project, we are in the process of working with Poly to get the final material list so that we can pass that to county and get the bids out so we can purchase that material. We have money in the budget for that material as we speak. And as you all know, thanks to Rep Maney, we hopefully will have $3 more million coming for that project. So, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Deitch. So you heard Ms. Tammy, so let's get some of these water and sewer projects completed, you know what I mean? Got plenty of good decks. So our new generators are in place at Tower 2 and Well 10 and online. Our new generator for lift station 30, our main lift station within the city, should be here sometime in June. We had a startup at our new lift station in Phase 7 of Deer Moss Creek, lift station number 74. We got a little checklist to complete before we sign off on the certification. They got a leak in the wet wells and generator problems. So I met with Ernie and his team till that list is complete. We won't sign off. The Jones contractor is working hard to complete that, so hopefully soon. We're still working with Johnson Controls on our new water meter system. We met with Lavo 5 or 2 weeks ago. We do have a new boring crew in town. So in 2 weeks, they've only had one strike, and that was with a shovel, so things are going a lot better. Suez, our water tank company, is complete. We're doing our tank maintenance for the year. We had 53 water calls, 20 sewer calls, 6 water taps, 15 sewer taps, 287 line spots, changed out 105 meters, and completed 427 service orders. We completed the stormwater issue at St. Andrews and Valparaiso Boulevard. We completed the drainage issue on Parton Drive in front of the First Baptist Church and added a crosswalk for pedestrians coming from their field across the church. Turned out really nice. We completed the installation of a fence on Rita Lane, and we have to install another fence around Holden Pond on Kathleen Court. We've finished a stormwater project on Red Maple Way. And Construction Services has completed the stormwater project on Valpy Boulevard, all about pulling little concrete driveways back. That project turned out really well. We're still waiting on a pricing quote for lining the storm drain on Pine Court and the 8-inch sewer main at Meigs Park. The speed bumps are complete around the Meigs Park area. We have reviewed our pavement assessment study. We've met with our asphalt paving crew, and we'll be paving another 6 roads around town. The Kelly Road, Howell Road, Mason Street, Spence Circle, Azalea, Camellia, and I just a little while ago got a quote for Valparaiso Boulevard, so I'll have to speak to Mr. Deitch in the morning and hopefully get that one approved too. So it'll be 7 roads with a lot of money left over, so it's going to be really nice for this community. We're still working with our engineers on Hart Street and Hill Lane design. We have a problem with the domes at the roundabout on Rocky Bayou Drive. So I met Mr. Deitch earlier in the week. I'm going to meet with our contractor in there. We're just going to go ahead and remodify all those roundabouts from Rocky Bayou Drive to in front of Walmart, extend the radius out on them, and pour concrete. So we're just going to extend the radius of the traffic circle so people will quit cutting through the medians, or through the middle of it. So we'll be working on that this month. Highway 285, that project had our bi-weekly meeting yesterday. That project is complete. You've probably seen a couple little paving 100 foot here and there. They spilled some tack over the roadway, so DOT made them redo it. So that project, you won't hear about it anymore. We're pretty much done with that. The wall is complete at Meigs Park. So we've got sod ordered, so it'll be coming. And other than that, we're just waiting on the county about the conceptual plan for the new Little League Park. Miss Allen. So, 2 o'clock, I got a text message from Greg Pope. So the walkable signs of Niceville are complete. So stay tuned to a barbecue and a ribbon cut and everything out like that. But I talked to Greg, we're gonna meet Thursday, hopefully, out here on these banner signs, and remove the Easter banners and put up City of Niceville banners. So, I'll get with the Parks team, we'll meet with Greg Pope and get them changed out from here on out. The Parks team will do that, be changing the banner signs in and out, so. That project is complete finally, congratulations.
So excited. 3.5 years.
Justin?
Yeah. I don't know, Miss Elliott's in the crowd tonight, she's not gonna like this one, but I talked to FPL this morning on the update of Highway 20 lights, installing a new light at 20 and Roberts. They're working on it, but it's a 7 to 9 month turnaround due to manpower. So I said, they asked me, do you want to keep working on it? I said, well, hell yeah, I do, so. You know, so 7 to 9 months. We have installed the 2 new fountains at the Triangle. The plants are ordered and will be installed when they get here. So basically we put new fountains in at the pond, and we're going to be doing crystal, and that I brought up here last month is going to be doing all the plants. So we got a pretty good upgrade at the Triangle. It's going to look really nice. She did a great job. March 18th, we attended the EOC training at the college. It went very well. We'll have another hurricane training coming up. I think it was April, end of April or May, one of those. But anyway, it went really well. The United Way Bourne Learning Trail, they got out there 2 Fridays ago, packed the trail, and weather kind of messed them up. So they're almost complete. They're about halfway done with painting the trail at Rocky One-Way Common. So that's a really good thing they're doing. So they're close to wrapping that up. The reconstruction of the splash pad at the Children's Park will start on May the 6th. Don't worry, only part that'll be closed at the park will be the area they're working in around the splash pad. The rest of the park will be open. I'd like to give a special thanks to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Saturday they did a community service cleanup for the city. They picked up trash at the new Holden Pond across the high school and made the loop around the school in Ruckle, and they picked up about 150 pounds of trash. So I want to give a special thanks to them. I also would like to give a special thanks to the Graybos family. This gentleman approached us for his mom and dad, lifelong residents of the city of Niceville. They walk Turkey Creek Park every day, end up unfortunately passing away. So the son approached us and he donated 3 dogwood trees, which we planted at the new park, and he also donated $1,000 to Turkey Creek Park, and I would like to thank the Graybos family.
That's awesome.
Another upcoming event by Ms. Shanitra Francis. You'll see it in your packet next month, the resolution to close Johnson's Parkway on November the 9th. Thanks to Shanitra, we'll be having our first annual Veterans Day Parade. Same route as the Christmas parade. So November 9th, Veterans Day Parade, you'll see it next month in your packet. And it'll just be a resolution to close Johnson's Parkway. My employee spotlight, Shine and Penny, couldn't make it tonight, but it's Colton Mitchell. I'll rewind and bring him back next month. We really want to meet this kid. He's a great worker, chops a lot of wood, 9 years experience. He does a great job. He's our water foreman, so couldn't make it. Had Little League Baseball tonight. I said, give her hell, son. So, go watch your kids. But I'll bring him back next month. He's a great worker. So, any questions?
Jonathan, is there a completion date out there for Live Oak? A guesstimate?
Not soon enough.
Not soon enough.
Nothing, right?
They told us April, and they got the Niceville 6, 7, and 8 to do, which is everything on this north side, so.
Swift Creek, they're coming for you.
Swift Creek, baby.
No date, 2 years.
No, it won't be that long. I'm hoping by end of summer.
So I do have something. Since your Shiny Penny didn't show up, I asked Mr. Deitch earlier in the week if we could make you a Shiny Penny. I'll tell you the story. I was going down Valparaiso Boulevard, and there was this man just giving Jonathan and Polly and construction services just all kinds of problems. So I just stopped. I'm standing there about 15 minutes, and Jonathan finally looks over and says, well, you can ask the city right here, because city council. And I just asked them, do you want them to fix that problem, or do you want to come before city council and, you know, ask for us to move this drain, 20 feet down? And finally he said, just fix it. Jonathan, we walked away. Jonathan said, I offered to do it 45 minutes ago. And so I went by there, so I go by every day when I'm doing my run, and I watched the fix on the concrete, the dirt come in, and then the sod, and it looks absolutely great. So our shiny penny is actually you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have questions for the shiny penny?
Oh, I do got one last thing. You know, I want to I want to give a special thanks to all, well now, 60 of my Public Works teammates. I want y'all to know something. We're 24 people short, but the team is still chopping wood, shoveling snow every day, and doing one heck of a job, and I want to commend them. So please be patient with us. They're doing the best they can. Water and sewer is chasing live oak. I mean, hey, 24 people short, but they're doing one heck of a job, and I'd just like to commend them.
They do a great job.
All right, Chief Maybell.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Bring you up to date on the activities of the fire department. And during the month of March, we ran 148 calls. 3 of those were overdose, and 9 of those expired. They're all transported to the hospital and deal with. We had 32 inspections with 21 passes and 13 fails and 8 re-inspections. We had several crew members go to the training classes in Alabama where they were conducting live fire burns and had guys in and out of that. We had opening day at the complex, many kids in and out, fire truck, and helping out with opening day ceremonies up there with baseball, softball. And that firefighter of the year, Matt Green, was recognized by the Elks Lodge. And we had a get together out here for Mr. Corbin and had all the crew members and city staff. And we had a lot of certifications being given out pertaining to college degrees and fire degrees. And we got a couple people in our paramedic class at the college right now. And I'd like to say a lot about staff, the upper staff of the city of Nashville, Mr. Deitch, and Kristen Shell, and Mr. Philip that Mr. Deitch put in place with grant writing. We are busy, real busy, chasing federal money, chasing corporate money, and constantly going after it. And I can't say enough about Michelle, wonderful team that we're working with, getting things going, making things happen, getting that money. Because there's a lot of things we're working on that we'll take later. But Mr. Deitch is pressing hard on that, and we've got a lot of stuff happening. So hope to bring that forward to you a little bit later, and hopefully we get some of that money. But anything from the council?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, Chief.
Chief and Council. Tonight I'd like to start off by introducing our newest police officer for Niceville, Essence Bork, commonly spelled. Little background with her. She was born and raised in a small town in New Hampshire. She originally wanted to be a forensic scientist. For college, she went to the University of Tampa, my home, where she changed majors and graduated with a bachelor's degree in criminology and criminal justice. In college, she also had an internship with Pasco County Sheriff's Office, where she got the taste of police work. Lucky for us, she has a fiance that is stationed at Herbert Field, so she came to us. She was a cadet. This is her 3rd day, I believe, on the street. 4th, maybe? 4th day. She's already done 1 DUI, and she's a very, very, very good officer. I haven't seen a young officer this much intelligent and look so much bigger in a long time. And she's going to be a great asset. I'd like everybody to welcome her to Niceville.
Is she interested in becoming chief?
She can do a better job than me, I'm sure, so.
You won't take it.
Good point. Thank you. I'd like to also speak about our K-9 Sergeant and K-9 Cody. As I talked before in the past, they took second place overall in a recent dog detection competition. With a score of 200, they scored 199.36, was awesome. Since they did so well, they've been asked to come to the USPCA National Canine Detective Trials in Wichita Falls, Texas, between June 1st and the 5th, and most everything's being paid by the USPCA because of how well they did. They're a great, great asset to the city.
That deserves applause.
We're announcing very early that we are doing a traffic operation called Operation Save the Day. As part of our ongoing commitment to ensuring the road safety and reducing traffic accidents, the Niceville Police Department is announcing Operation Save the Day, an initiative aimed at curbing speeding and aggressive driving on our roadways. Beginning Wednesday, April 24th, and continuing through Friday, April 26th, between 1 and 5, our law enforcement teams will increase our enforcement efforts at State Road 20 between Rocky Bayou and Government. Operation Save the Day is a joint adventure with Niceville PD and Val PD, and we're waiting to get response from the Sheriff's Department and FHP. This will simultaneously occur in all of our cities along the way. We are urging our community members to support the operation, the initiative adhering to the posted speed limits, and exercise patient-wide driving. And we ask them to please report any incidents of reckless driving behavior going on during that day. I don't think anybody in here could say that we don't have a speeding problem on 20 every morning and every day. We are giving everybody notice. As you see, this is way off on the 24th, but I will assure you we are still going to write a lot of tickets. I don't like to use the word zero tolerance, but that day, most anybody who's caught speeding will get a ticket. We need to slow it down. We need to do something before some of these kids get hurt or we have a fatality. Also on traffic, Valky has told me that in May 1st, I believe it's going to start, that the base is going to start IDing everybody on the way in, which is going to slow down our traffic tremendously. The reason I tell you that, from what I've experienced in the past, people in your position maybe be able to write letters and encourage them to probably go back to the way it was, because it is going to cause traffic problems for everybody.
Just so you know, that it's not just IDing everybody. There's going to be situations in which family members try to get on, and they're not going to allow them on. They're going to have to go to the new location for the visitor pass before they'll allow them to get on. And they're doing this for heightened reasons. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and as you know, we have an issue with lots of folks coming in, and some of those, I'm sure, are terrorists. So they are going to increase that screening, and again, people will be 100% ID everybody in the vehicle, and if you don't possess an ID, you will be directed to go to the pass and ID located where the air park is, the Eglin Armament Museum. So that's where you'll get those passes.
We are going to use our Facebook and our great PIO in the back to help us get all this information out. We don't want it to be a surprise to people. We want to let them know why we're going to be out there and what's going to happen in May. You get to the numbers that you'd like to hear. During the month of March, Police Department responded to 2,318 calls for police assistance. This was a total of 44 crash reports written involving 78 vehicles. The estimated amount of damage to these vehicles was about $239,650. A total of 295 traffic citations were written, 249 traffic warnings were given, There were 5 misdemeanor arrests, 9 felonies, and 1 DUI arrest made. The last thing I have, I might need your help on a proclamation, because I challenged the fire department to a kickball game. And today I saw the firemen playing basketball. We might have a problem in the PD, so I might need you to do a proclamation where you please make them wear all their equipment when we're playing, so we have a fair chance. With that said, if you don't have any more questions, I will.
I want to make a comment. So I was riding my bike through Swift Creek the other day, and there was a female officer who was playing basketball at the basketball court with one of our young gentlemen, and it just warmed my heart to see her out there playing on the court with this young man. And I just want to say thank you. I'm not sure who it was, but anyway, I want to tell you that I noticed, and if you would please tell her thank you for me.
I will. We are trying to be very, very much more in community engagement. My motto with our officers are, you see kids throwing footballs, throw a football with them. You see them shoot hoops with them. You see a lady walk down the street, walk with them. I want them to be engaged, and they want to be engaged. We're looking to do more things that we can have partnerships. Matter of fact, glad you brought that up. We are starting, I've done it at other departments and stuff, but we are starting a self-defense class for women from 14 to however age. And we normally are going to do it with no more than 16 at a time. It's about a 2-hour class. I will not teach you enough to go home and beat up your husband, but I will teach you enough to where if somebody grabs you that you'll be able to get away. We will teach you to hurt people, because that's what it takes, because these are life-threatening things. These are not arguments, this is somebody trying to pull you into a car or do something. We will teach them tactics that can save their lives. And I encourage anybody that would like that class to get a hold of us. Again, this is part of our community engagement. We'll go wherever. Myself and one of my lieutenants will do the instruction. I'm just an old Jersey boy who knew how to fight. He knows karate. All you need to know is your elbows hurt people. But if anybody would like us to put it on, just please contact me directly, the chief at the department, and we can set it up. We're doing our first one here with our Wendy's people. And like I said, it's about 2 hours. You will sweat a lot, and you will walk out feeling a lot more confident about your safety.
Who are we getting as our volunteers on that?
Well, I figured since my captain's wife works for him, and part of the things that we do is we allow them to kick people in the groin. So we will definitely allow his wife to do that. And it's not domestic violence. It's not domestic violence if it's in a classroom setting. So.
When is this class? I'd like to sign up for it.
We have room in her class if you want to come.
When is it? It's Tuesday. What time?
3 to 5.
Wow. I can do that. Can you send me a reminder?
Any other questions? Please, firemen, don't forget about them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, that's all we have.
All right, let me run through some of these formalities. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved. Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? All right, let me go first. We will talk to the council, see what the council has to share, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So with that, Mr. Najumian, do you have anything you want to share?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Schatzel.
Yeah, Courtney, just a comment on, and you sit back in the audience and hear a person like Jonathan Laird or any of our police department, fire department, or other areas get up and talk, and how much they are engaged and how much they're doing. And I personally am really appreciative of it, and I hope that you are too, because they are doing an outstanding job. They don't let any moss grow under their feet.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Ms. Allen?
So, my son-in-law has been the offensive football coordinator for the last 5 or 6 years at Niceville High School. He got offered a job, a head coaching job at a high school in Colorado Springs. David Hedges. So sad for me, I've been crying for a week, my family's leaving, and so, but great opportunity for them, and unfortunately, they're taking my grandchildren with them, and so I'm not very happy about that. But anyway, Niceville's lost. My daughter has lived here for 30 years, so this is going to be a big change for her moving on, and she's been working with me and teaching here at Niceville High School. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Mr. Donahue.
I'm not sure who to direct this to, but when it comes to the children's skate park, I know that we budgeted funds for it. Where are we on that?
So we're working on several different efforts along those lines. We had to wait for the weather to warm up. We're going to try putting on a sealant on the pad to see if that will work with the financial resources that you offer to us during this budget cycle. We also have money in the budget for some new ramps and stuff, but we want to fix the pad first before we do that. We're also working with a passionate mom here in the community who's helping us with some additional grants. She's working alongside both Phil and Stephen to get some additional grant money in years ahead to really enhance that park. So it's an ongoing effort, multiple tentacles to that, but it's an ongoing effort.
Mr. Stoffer?
I have three small things. I'm on the Library Cooperative Board, and I'll tell you, I'm very impressed with our library system. And just the meeting we had was tremendous. Then the second thing is the Senior Center Health Fair. I know I saw Bill there, and it was just very professional, very well done. And then the last thing is just an announcement, City Picnic on the 20th. I'm scheduled to fly to Canada, 18th? Is it the 18th?
18th.
I'm scheduled to fly out that Wednesday, I think, and to Canada, so I will not be there, but I don't want anybody to think it wasn't important to me to be there. So I will miss it because I'll be up north.
So for my last couple parting words I have, first of all, I had surprisingly a couple people come to me and say the city manager and mayor talks, which we're going to be doing very soon at 7:30 in the morning. They asked, is there any way we can do some of those in the afternoon to capture those who have to work?
Absolutely.
I thought so too.
There is no microphone that I don't enjoy and love, so I'll do it whenever you want.
So with that, I know that our outstanding PIO will work on scheduling some of that in the future for us. So again, afternoon sessions so people can attend at work.
Let's do it.
I want to go back to the Veterans Day parade and just mention that, we're going to put that on, and I think it's going to be a great thing, but I wanted to recognize the fact that our PIO has been very much engaged and really pushing forward with this, and I want to thank her publicly for that. Plus, we have a couple of seasoned veterans who have been instrumental in the Christmas parade who said they would be more than happy to help us out, and I wanted to publicly thank Debbie Lewis and Jimmy Beaujolais, who said they would be very happy to help us with that, and I know that Ms. Francis, our PIO, is in contact with them, and we're probably working to set up a meeting here in the very near future to talk with them as well. Is that correct? All right, so there you have it. There's a lot of things going on in the city of Niceville. We have some great people. For those of you that get the magazine, Niceville Magazine, you notice that I try to highlight what's going on in the city, and I also like to highlight people. And the Shiny Penny was my primary individual that I highlighted for this next article. It hasn't already come out. So again, I want to thank all of our folks who are a part of our staff and who work for the city of Niceville. They do a tremendous job, as I thank all the citizens who make this a great place to live. So once again, I thank you for that. With that said, I will now open it up to any citizen out there that would like to address the council. I would ask a couple things that you remember. One, when you come up, identify who you are, state your name and your address for the record, And the second thing is, you got 3 minutes. Okay? 3 minutes. And I ask you to get to the point right away. And let's save time for others, because we got a lot of people here tonight. And I got a sneaking suspicion there's a lot that want to come talk to us. So with that said, do I have anybody that wants to come? Please come. State your name and address for the record.
Thank you. I'm Tom Meissen. I live at 234 White Street. I'm in apartment 10. There are 12 units in our little complex, and we are the closest to the new construction that's going on across from CCB Bank. And we have some concerns. One of our units is very close to it, the end unit, and that is occupied by General George Williams. George Williams retired, and his wife Rebecca. And Rebecca has volunteered to state our concerns.
All right.
Rebecca Williams, 234 White Street. Sorry, I'm still new. I've only been here a year. Great little town. And we're Unit 12. My fellow residents are here. We have 12 units in our residential townhomes and a new construction, which, of course, construction happens. We all understand this. New construction has come up with the oil change facility on John Sims, close to Edge. However, there's a few problems over there at the site. The construction began well over 2 months ago, possibly 3. And there is a water pump approximately 6 weeks ago, an industrial water pump running on diesel that has been running 24/7 with an extremely loud decibel level, 24/7. We do not sleep. We do not use our back balconies for 6 weeks. There is no going out and fishing in the morning. There's no having a cup of coffee on our patios. 6 weeks, 24/7, diesel water pump running at a loud decibel level. It is intolerable. It has absolutely been miserable. Okay? We have to wait for the winds to blow away in the morning to blow away the scent of the diesel so that we can even go out and water our plants. Anybody that works from home, sorry, you're not going to do any conference calls because the noise even inside your house with the doors closed is going to be too much background noise. If it was, it's 100 yards out of our back door. So 100 yards out here, if this was running, I would not be able to talk to you without this microphone. We're also concerned about the amount of water that's coming out of that. 6 straight weeks, 24/7 industrial pump. In the past several weeks, we've started experiencing cracking sounds in our windows and doorways in our unit. And I'm now concerned that they are pumping too much water because this is a shared water table of a natural water level underneath our unit. So how much are they pumping and how much longer? The question is this a permanent water pump? When will this water pump finally be turned off? And that roused another question. Question number 2 was sound. The sound, the noise. It's going to be an oil change place. There will be pneumatic tools and other loud tools. We're a residential area, 100 yards behind them. What is in their building plans to account for this? A tall wall that is a sound barrier to the residents to buffer the sound. And if this is not in place, can we request that the builder install this prior to the opening of their first day of business?
So, ma'am, you're right at the end of your 3 minutes, so you got one more point. Please state it quickly.
Just the water table, and is it permanent, and the sound, is there a sound barrier? That is it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Ma'am, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll take we'll work this week for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would someone else like to come before the council? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I made a couple of handouts. I've never been here before. I didn't know it was appropriate, so I wanted to get a picture, and I wrote down my speech so I wouldn't fumble the words. So my name is Christopher Neal. I live at 1012 Stephen Drive, Niceville, and I'm just going to read it here so I don't mess up the words. But again, my name is Christopher Kit Neal, and I live near a wonderful new park in Niceville. Sorry. The Rocky Runway Park near the intersection of Rocky Bayou and Forest, just south of the Grass Ruckle Airstrip. My kids and their friends and the entire neighborhood and beyond love the new park. And I'd like to start by thanking all of you guys for creating it maybe 2 or so years ago. It's a great addition to our area of town, and we're all thrilled to have it. But recently, some new signs were added that are kind of aimed at early childhood development. They're messages such as talk to your child about the things they see and hear, etc. And while these are positive and worthwhile messages, I stand before you today, along with these 2 other parents of children who regularly play at the park, to suggest that the new signage itself is a little bit hazardous, given the use of the area. The signs are on 4x4 posts with heavy DOT-style sheet metal with sharp, unrolled edges, and they protrude out horizontally right about the head height of an elementary school kid. They're unrolled edges. While the signs are at the edge of the sodded area, they're not at the edge of the cleared area, and each sign, and there are 10 of them, represents not only a new obstacle, but one with sharp-edged metal right at head level. It's worth noting that these signs are arguably not in compliance with the CPSC Public Playground Safety Handbook, which stipulates that the new park is a playground and the playground should be free of sharp edges. While playgrounds do often contain signage, it's usually at the entrances only or is mounted on existing vertical surfaces so that the edges aren't exposed and there's no new hazards. And I think that the same tactic should be applied at this park. It'd be very easy to put the signs on the existing front and back fence or on the trash cans or other existing structures so that the worthwhile message is delivered but without the additional obstacles or sharp edges. Furthermore, what guidelines I could find online for things such as the heights of stop signs or other signage on sidewalks or pedestrian areas tended to call for clearance minimums of 6'8" or more. Presumably that's to avoid head injury. Together, these guidelines suggest that without a good reason for having the signs located as they are, we think they should be moved. I know my speaking time is short. I want to again say that we love the park and we have no issues with positive additions that the community wants to install. However, the new signage introduces new and unnecessary risks. I ask that you consider mitigating these risks by changing the placement or nature of the new signage, such as either just moving the existing signs or maybe getting ones with rolled edges, or at a minimum, putting bumper piping around the sharp edges. We can easily maintain the message while removing the hazards. I think it's only a matter of time before a kid or even an adult who is running while trying to catch a frisbee or football or just playing tag is badly lacerated and sent to the hospital while wearing these signs. I'm asking you to please help me avoid this outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I know that the city manager and his staff will take a look at that.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that, because my intent with that was to enhance the park for the kids and not create a hazard. And so we will figure that out and rectify that for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Would someone else like to come forward? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Amy Salisbury, 1104 Crington Court, Tarranttown. And I just had a question. The police chief was mentioning the ticket thing and speeding and cutting down on that. And I've noticed that automobile insurance has been going up fairly a lot just in the last year or 2 years. And my understanding is that a lot of the cause of that is uninsured driving. So I wondered if there was something that can be done. I mean, you can't tag everybody, but is that something that we address? Is there some legal way to avoid that? To maybe, I mean, I know in a perfect world, but still, I just was wondering because I recently, like within 2 or 3 months, got rear-ended at stoplights twice and had to have my bumper replaced. So in talking to insurance companies, and then the young man that came to take the report said that that was a concern, that there's a lot of uninsured drivers, and that's one reason why the insurance rates are going up. So I didn't know if that's something y'all could address.
I think that is something I would look to my legal counsel to my left here, you're right, and see if he has any words of wisdom.
Yes. Unfortunately, under Florida law, you do not have to carry anything but what we call no-fault PIP insurance. And we have lobbied the legislature in the last few years to put a limit of at least having $25,000 in liability coverage. So if you get into an accident, it's your fault, it covers the other person. At this point, we've not been successful in getting that done. Alabama and a lot of other states have a minimum insurance requirement. But Florida, the only requirement you have is for no fault and PIP insurance. And you have to have that insurance to be able to keep your registration and to get a license.
Sure. Is there anything we can do as far as lobbying wise that might help?
You write your senators
Okay.
and representatives
Okay.
and
All right.
request that.
All right, thank you.
I wanted to say something about that because I talked to my insurance guy too, because the insurance costs are going up so much. And he said, he told me it was because the cost of supplies and.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, that have gone up so much, and that's
And it was
why
more around COVID because they had supply chain issues too.
now it's just the cost, labor cost, supply cost, all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come before the council? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Kenneth Missouri, live on 235 Yacht Club Drive, Niceville, Florida. I come and address just some major concerns with some events that are planned to happen. Just saw a recent advertisement. But I don't know how many people are aware, but we're seeing the advertisement for the Emerald Coast Pride event scheduled for June 1st. Some of my main concerns are that this event is advertised for several activities that directly target our children in this community. And it's also planned to be use of public property here, which is a community center that's adjacent to many public facilities intended for use for children. As you well know, I don't know if you are aware, but this same organization, one of their largest sponsors in 2023 was Risque Moments, which is an adult retail store. And according to the website, when you read as a rainbow sponsor, one receives recognition at day of the event, business information logo listed on the website, and permission to set up inside the event, and an 8-foot table will be provided. As an event such as this, targeting specifically with things targeting our children in this community, I don't think it's appropriate, nor necessary, nor, as I'm going to get to further, legal for this council to provide permit for such an event, nor do I not know the situation of that. As we all know, Pride organization celebrates the sexual behavior of adults. Once again, I do not believe this event should be allowing our community to provide us directly targeting the community and the children. So as you know, I'm aware that SB 1438 that prohibits the government entity to provide from issuing a permit or authorizing a person to conduct an adult live performance to knowingly admit a child. That was passed last year in 2023. Adult live performance, you can go on to look in the Florida Statute 827.11. It explains exactly what adult live performance is. You can go on to read that. I know I limit time, but this concerns me and might concern a lot of other people. I wasn't aware to it until last week. I have no idea where the city council sits on the situation, whether a permit's been granted or where it's at. I'm just here to state my concerns and many other people on what this center is, what the rationalization is, and what the targeted impact of this event and what their, I guess, their implicit, what the result is. But yeah, thank you for your time. I appreciate you hearing me.
Thank you.
Sir, if I may, as of right now, this organization does not have a valid contract with the city of Niceville. So that's number one. Number two, in November of 2023, the Supreme Court struck down SB 48, and so the anti-drag law, as it was coined, the Supreme Court stepped in and said the state of Florida cannot enforce that law across the entire state of Florida, pending the outcome of further litigation at a lower court level. But as of right now, there is no valid contract between the community center, the city of Niceville, and this organization.
Is that contract, is that subject to a vote of the city council members, or is
No.
that something that's decided, who decides the contract and how it's,
That's an internal internal operational issue, subject to my approval. I have a gentleman who runs the community center, and we have a contract for the community center. And right now, there is not a valid contract at this point in time.
will it be, will it be open for debate later and to get the city community involved in such a?
Well, sir, you and other residents of the community are always welcome and encouraged to come to city council meetings and express your opinions.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else like to come before the council? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hey, Dan, I just have a quick question for the gentleman who just spoke.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name. I'm on the phone, so it's a little hard to keep track. I'm trying to understand what your position is, how parents are being forced to bring their children to this event.
It's not.
So you have to step up here.
Come up to the mic if you don't mind.
So it's not the fact that they're being forced to event, but just so you know, you got one there, but some of the events including are directly attracting children, such as face painting, movies, and then also a drag queen story hour specifically for kids to read for it to them. So it's specifically targeting children for.
So we're fearful children are going to show up on their own?
What the heck? What?
Okay.
It's inappropriate.
Can I talk to that? Yeah.
Tom Alcester, 420 Valley Way. No, I'm not fearful of that. I'm fearful that I have to forego what I have in this city because somebody else wants to come over and give indoctrination to my children. I shouldn't have to withhold my children going to library time because a drag queen wants to put on a show. That's my position, Mr. Najumian. So
we're not. So libraries being closed for this?
It doesn't have to be closed.
It's right back to the children.
So let's just clarify.
Okay.
This event is not in the library.
Oh, okay.
It's in the community center, and this event, if it were to happen, again, it's not in the library.
Right.
We do have story hours in the library, but we do not allow outside people from anywhere to read. It's only city employees who do that. So this is.
I just want to get clarification on this because it seems like there's a lot of misunderstanding. I want a clarification. Who's forcing people to attend? If these individuals want to have this event,
It's in a
how is
public
that
facility.
impacting
So,
anybody who doesn't?
From that, I gather you don't mind if I have a Ku Klux Klan rally here, do you?
I'm sorry?
You don't mind if I form a Ku Klux Klan rally, do you? Because no one's going to be forced to attend.
If that's something you're really interested in, sure, go for it.
Okay, that's on record that
I
one of
know
our
I'm
city
voting now.
council members is willing to have a Ku Klux Klan rally. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to address, and I didn't mean to get so excited, but he said something that was invigorating. But I don't think that, I'm opposed to all of it, like my fellow citizens. But I agree, and I'm sure you'll have to go through some legal reviews, and you might come to the conclusion that, yes, we have to do this. But we don't have to accept the points that are indoctrination, like the movies and the reading. The other stuff, while I don't personally care for it, I get that. But let's not confuse tolerance and acquiescence. Tolerance means I'm willing to listen to an opinion I disagree with. It doesn't mean I'm required to fall in line with it. So I would like the city council, when they're deliberating, or operationally when they're deliberating, to consider that. And that we, yes, are tolerant, and there are things that we can do even though we might not care for, but there are things that we will not accept. And those would be the things that affect our children. And yes, you're right. They don't have to go, but they shouldn't be forced not to go because it's something that shouldn't be done at all.
Amen.
Appreciate it.
Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
It's politically driven.
My name is Jeff White, 321 Bailey Drive, Knoxville. I'm interested in the LGBTQ drag show. My question is, we have an ordinance in Knoxville that doesn't allow advertising for liquor or cigarettes near a school or a church. I feel like this falls right in the realm of the Constitution. The rating, they've lobbied not to be rated because they were all rated R. So they asked for a non-rating. A non-rating means if they're not rated, they will not go into a movie theater. This is another way to get into communities and impact that. I grew up here, left here in '95 and came back a year ago. unfortunately, I've been a part of a lot of, seeing what this starts in the community. It just cracks the door open. I don't think we should expose our kids. Adults can handle it. I would ask that before y'all even consider it, somebody actually see the show, go watch it, make sure you can approve it. That's what they do with X-rated movies. That's what our responsibility as parents and your responsibility to this community is to make sure anything that comes in here, especially if it's in a building on a government property, that means you're endorsing whether you want to say you are or not. So I just hope that y'all will consider, you'll pray about whether this is the way it is. We opened up the meeting today with prayer, and I hope we can consider that now for our kids, because right now, the access, it's kind of like people say, I don't give up. When kids have access to a cell phone when they're young, what it really is the world has access to that kid, and we see it all the time. And this is just part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, you said we need to check out the show. There was one in Fort Walton that we sent people down to, and they videoed the show in a bar. I couldn't go, I'm a pastor, so I didn't go. But they videoed it, and it was the sexualization of children. So the drag queen, the dancing, you saw the children, you saw the inappropriate behavior. So just so you know, there was research done. They did not come back in Fort Walton.
Okay, let me, before we get too out of control here, let me ask, is there anybody else that'd like to come before the council and address an issue? Seeing none, I will close that time, and I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting, and then if there's other discussion that you want to take place within reason, we do want to close up the building, you can do so, all right? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? We will consider this meeting adjourned.
Thanks, man.